Three, two, one, and we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela, and I am coming to you today. I want to talk about and read through this pamphlet. It's called The Independent Black / African Agenda, as presented by the Federation of the Independent Black Agenda. That's FATIBA. I've heard of FATIBA. I don't know if that's local to my region or if it's like national. A plan for self-determination. So it's not necessarily a book review because it's not a book. It's more than a I'm calling it a booklet. It seemed to be more than a pamphlet to me. But and I don't know if I have a lot of commentary right now. I did read it. And this document is from like the 90s. This is something that was put together, I believe, by our Council of Elders here, but I think they talk about it in the Detroit in 1993, November 5 through 7. So let's just get into it. I just want to read through it, put it on the record, share it. Maybe you'll connect with some people in some other communities and who might be thinking about some of the same types of things. And also, I think it's sort of important because sometimes as groups, we spend a lot of time doing work. And then it's sort of like it's lost to posterity. Like I remember as a student going through the archives of the Barnard Organization of Soul Sisters, BOSS, and just being really amazed at the amount of work and thought that had gone into some of the same issues that we were dealing with. A lot of the work that had gone in that had happened in the 60s and the 70s was some of the same issues that were dealing with in the 90s. And so it was interesting to be able to not have to reinvent the wheel, not have to repeat and start from scratch. And I think a lot of times we're reinventing and starting from scratch. And I think it would be good to advance the conversation instead of restarting the conversation again and again and again. So, I feel like a lot of this stuff is, just very little of it felt dated to me. But table of contents. 1, introduction, page 2. 2, economic development, page 4. Economic code of ethics, page 6. 3, political development, page 7. Political code of ethics, page 9. 4, social development, page 10. Quality of life, page 10. Council of Elders, page 10. Rites of passage, page 10. African-centered education, page 10. Holistic healthcare, page 11. Family code of ethics, page 13. Media, page 14. 5, spiritual development, page 15. Me looking at it, I guess because of my orientation, I was sort of amazed that spiritual development was the last section. I would think that spiritual development would be the first section. I would start like from the inside and work out like your own relationship with yourself or our spiritual development, our relationship with God, then moving out to family, then community, then world. So, I was kind of like, oh, but I was happy to see that there was a conversation about spiritual development. Okay. Refer to addendum. That might be somewhere else because I don't see where that comes in. Introduction. African people in America and throughout the world are faced with challenges in the 21st century / 63rd century. And that's where it says refer to addendum. 63rd century comes from the first solar calendar of our ancient Egyptian ancestors, which will play a role in determining the destiny of generations to come. As economic, political, and spiritual changes sweep the globe, we are in a time of crisis, but also a time of great opportunity. With careful planning, organization, and collective action, we can construct a reality for ourselves. This reality must be self-determined, prosperous, and reflective of a higher level of human consciousness than is exhibited by Western society. At the heart of collective action and movement must be a vision to promote political independence and a collectively agreed upon set of ideas which can guide our communities, inspire building and development, and facilitate accountability. This independent Black/African agenda seeks to spread to that need. This independent Black/African agenda seeks to speak to that need and contribute to the process of exercising our rights as a people to create a society that addresses our aspirations. Being a African/Black nation in America, we are essentially powerless, not in control of land, resources, or the means of production or distribution. We control few institutions in our communities that impact our lives. Additionally, we are burdened by feelings of inferiority and inadequacy, and we are disconnected from our historical legacy. The many problems we face in our communities, such as poor housing, unemployment, alcohol and drug abuse, police brutality, inadequate health care, and miseducation, are symptoms of our powerless condition. Thus, any serious efforts to make fundamental changes in our condition must have the objectives of empowerment and self-determination. Efforts to provide full employment, adequate health care, African-centered education, and to exercise political control over our communities will be ineffective unless they are tied to the larger movement for self-determination and massive social change. The advocates of this agenda, hey, welcome on the chat, we're almost finished reading the introduction. The advocates of this agenda must move to create a permanent apparatus to direct our efforts toward African empowerment in the 21st century, in parentheses, 63rd century, and beyond. The success of this agenda requires the endorsement and adherence of a broad cross-section of the members of our community. This document is organized in the following categories: economic, political, social, and spiritual development. We also encourage our communities to support any sincere efforts to build unity and to develop the resources of our community. So that was, again, the introduction and the table of contents from the Independent Black/African Agenda as presented by the Federation of the Independent Black Agenda, known as FATIBA, a plan for self-determination. Peace, sister. So I just wanted to start with the introduction and the table of contents for now, and just like as a commercial, as a notice that I am going to read through the document. It's like a 18-page document that I believe was prepared by our Council of Elders here. But again, I just feel like, let's talk about it. I don't like, on one hand, I kind of feel like this is private and secret, but on another hand, I feel like, there's nothing here that there's a community of us throughout the country. I feel like we have new media and new ways of connecting to one another. And so, and I just feel that, so we need to be aware of what is going on and what has gone on, within our communities throughout the world as much as we can. So this is just an effort to share, some of, what's going on, what has gone on in Detroit. So we'll be back with more. I'll probably read kind of, a chapter a day or something like that, or, a section a day or whatever, because it's not that long. And I'm going to throw it in a playlist so it can be, listened to, because I know that reading it, and like what I like to do with a lot of things is just listen to them again and again and again, as opposed to studying them. I think I really sort of relate in some way to the oral tradition. But that's what I got, Fabulites. It's Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Today is the best day ever, and you are the greatest. So be you, be fabulous you. Thanks for liking, commenting, subscribing, and for being here. So I will be back shortly with notes on the news for today's edition. I am going to hit my news feed again just to see if anything is there. So it'll probably be 15-20 minutes, something like that. But that's what I got. Be you, be fabulous you. Be you, be fabulous you. Peace. Global stars.